Right. So what's going on, gang? Unfortunately, week 6 this time around is gonna have to be postcom. Basically, this is against Darya, who I love, and I'm very sad that I wasn't able to get a live com up against Darya. But for context, this battle was played on Halloween, and for various reasons, basically the original time we scheduled didn't end up happening. But I'd set up my setup, um, for it to happen at the scheduled time. We ended up playing an hour later, and what happened is I forgot to reset my microphone to my OBS, my recording, so that it would actually pick up my microphone. So I forgot to do that when we switched the times, and I just left my setup as is, closed out my OBS, and then when I opened up my OBS again, my microphone was disconnected, which means I had really, really terrible audio for this game, unfortunately. And I just figured it was worth a postcom instead, so you all weren't subjected to like Addy in a tunnel or whatever. So that's the unfortunate thing. But it is a very cool, a very fun game to show you all this time around. So I'm excited about it. The other, I guess, added context is that obviously since it was Halloween, I obviously mentioned that I'm dressed up a bit witchy. Basically, the um, uh, thing that we were trying to do for Halloween, my wife and I, where we were trying to go outside with one of our rats, both of us dressed very witchy, give out some candy to some kids, and let the kids pet one of our rats as well. For those of you who don't know, we have 3 pet rats. Maybe they'll make an appearance in a future video, but yeah, that was the plan. So I was playing this game, and I had my wife just being like, "All right, can we go yet?" And I was like, "Gotta play this game first." So I was a bit in a rush, but I don't think it affected the quality of the battle itself. Maybe just made me make a few sort of silly rush decisions, but nothing I wouldn't take back. And surely, like, I've been more incapacitated in weeks past, right? So folks would know. Anyway, so that's all added context about sort of the situation of the game and what made this week just happen to be sort of chaos from all angles, from life angles, from technical angles, and things like that. So the game's going to get more chaotic as the video gets on too. So hopefully you all are in for a treat, but we'll see. So for added context, Darya is one of my favorite people on the planet. I love her so much. And the last time we played, I utterly robbed her. Like, I just did. And it was because she, like, missed a Draco Meteor. Like, it was against my broken Zamazenta team from that PPL seasons past. Um, yeah, like, I just robbed her. She missed a Draco Meteor, and I ended up winning the game. So, yeah, she's here for revenge, is basically what I'm trying to say. But we're bringing an interesting team. We're bringing Calm Mind, Terra Ghost, Keldeo, with Sub and Vacuum Wave, and Terra Blast. We're bringing just a physically defensive Landorus. We're bringing Choice Scarf Chiyu. We're bringing a Spadef Ogrepon with Spikes and Encore that should beat any Terra Hydrapple that she wants to come up with. We're bringing sort of a Fizdef Custat Berry Metagross with the idea being that we take 2 close combats from Zapdos and then sort of surprise Custat back with either a Heavy Slam or a knockoff to get rid of its item. And then we have a Max HP, Max Spadef Cyclizar to try and take on Darkrai. Somehow, bizarrely, I actually live a Dark Pulse into a Focus Blast from Darkrai, which is kind of nuts. But we're going to see the Shroodle lead. I didn't even talk about Shroodle on Dream Preview, but I was definitely like, what the fuck is this Shroodle doing here? What is going on? I'm just going to set up a Spike. I don't really know what it can do against me. I don't really understand what the strategy is yet. I didn't really know. Part of me was like, okay, should I calc if, like, I should just Ivy Cudgel twice? Is that dumb? I don't know. Ultimately, I just decided I think the best course of action is just going to just beat a Spike, right? That's always going to give me some level of progress. Everything else feels like it has some level of risk, but Sunny Day comes off, and Sunny Day is actually really scary because, yeah, it's really scary because I just don't have a great fire resist for this team. My fire resist is Keldeo, which is trying to Terra, and Chiyu, so pretty scary stuff. So Copycat comes off, and now she has copied my spikes as well. So now Sun is up and spikes are up on both ends. I can go for another layer of spikes, but now I'm worried that she's just going to set up more spikes on my end, which is a silly worry because I have Rapid Spin on Psychozar, and she doesn't have any removal. So I click Encore, maybe a bit hastily. This is sort of what I meant by one of my hasty plays. Um, when in reality, like 3 spikes would have definitely gone a long way this game. So Encore is going to come off. It's obviously going to go into whatever mon she brings in. It's going to do nothing. It's going to be the Zapdos, but at the very least, even with 1 spike up, like I can go into my Metagross. And even with 1 spike up, I should be able to take 2 close combats, which will put me in that Custic Berry range like I mentioned before. Unfortunately, she is just going to go for U-turn, so it's going to be sort of a momentum grab there. And it's going to bring in the big bad Gouging Fire. And Gouging Fire is really fucking scary, as you can tell in a second when she brings it out. Because my answer to Gouging Fire is this fucking Fizdef Helmet Landorus. But the reality is in Sun, Gouging Fire just becomes fucking Thanos. So, yeah, if it's Banded, if it's Scarf, if it's Charcoal, if it's Dragon Dance, like, I'm in a tough position no matter what happens when Gouging Fire comes out. So, yeah, this is really cool how she's positioned. She's stolen a spike from my Ogerpon, she's gotten Sunny Day up, and now there's this Gouging Fire in that I virtually don't have to switch into. So, I see that the sun is up for 1 more turn. I think 1 more turn. Or if it's up for longer, then it means that it's Heat Rock Strudel, right? That's what it means. So I'm going to go into my Lando even though I know that this is going to get 2 KO'd. I just think I have to. I just have to get the helmet chip off. And I run this calc, and to me, it's a confusing calc, right? Because I think the sun and the photosynthesis really makes the calcs really wonky. I end up seeing this calc and actually end up thinking that it's choice banned. Obviously, in hindsight, if it was choice banned, it would have done a lot more. But when I see this calc, I'm saying I think it's choice banned. You can kind of read my lips there, and me saying banned. So I run a calc and say, okay, actually, Psychozar, after a spike, lives a hit. I threaten with Draco Meteor. So I can actually go into Cyclozar here, live a hit, and then KO back with Draco Meteor. Unfortunately, she makes a switch here, which was pretty crazy to me, right? Because you could just get a KO, or, do a bunch of damage, at least. But this works out great for her, right? Because I really don't want to be in. So in my mind, okay, this is the opportunity I can go into Metagross, hope that she clicks Close Combat, and if she does, then I get my Custom Berry. If she is Knockoff, which I know that Zapdos gets Knockoff, to me, the calcs looks like I did not die in 2 hits, unless she's Adamant Zapdos. So, if that's the case, then obviously that means Chi revenges. Knockoff does a lot there, but again, I run the calc, I'm running the calc right now, and I look and see, okay, if it's timid, if it's Jolly, okay, just max attack and speed boosting, which would speed tie with Chiyu, but it only has 1 roll to KO me here. But if it's Adamant, then it's more 50-50. So if it does kill me here, then I'm going to assume that it's Adamant. If it doesn't kill me, then I'll be able to get a knockoff off, which will allow Chiyu to revenge. But it does kill me, so that makes me think, okay, this is Adamant Zapdos. So I'm going to go into Chiyu now, knowing that Overheat obviously will kick off the KO. She does have some good switch-ins to Chiyu, in particular this Hydropple, which is Terra Water. I guess I should have mentioned that before. Yeah, this Hydropple that's Terra Water can come in, but there is a question of, like, can it take an Overheat into, like, a Dark Pulse or something, I'm not entirely sure. It depends on what this set is. If it's AV max Spadef, then maybe. If it's AV max HP, then maybe not. If it boots Spadef, then maybe not. I don't know. So I really just either want to kill this Zapdos, which is in front of me, or figure out what the hell this Hydropple is. I don't really care anytime Hydropple comes in, because to me, it's an opportunity to bring Ogerpon in, because I know that Ogerpon with max Spadef takes on any Hydropple there is, and can Encore it if it starts clicking like Nasty Plot or something. And then I can get my 3rd spike up. But what happens is this thing outspeeds me. It wins a speed tie against me. It's the only explanation for why this could have outsped me. And it meant that she got the max roll against my Metagross that previous turn, which is really definitely frustrating. It makes me really confused, and I kind of just sort of second guess myself and say I guess I calced that wrong. But no, it was unfortunately an absolute max roll against that Metagross that turn earlier, which means if I lived, I would have gotten a knockoff off, and then you would have been able to kill this, or force a switch, right, and still maintain its Choice Scarf, which would have been really nice. But sometimes that's how just the deck rolls, is you just kind of get bits and bits of fun luck. God knows I've had my fair share of it this season. But Darkrai comes in here, and this really sucks. Like, Darkrai is really scary into my team, unfortunately, because Focus Blast weirdly is good coverage against me. Like, it covers that Chi-Yu, it covers the Cyclozar, it covers Ogerpon. Yeah, so I think it very well could be Focus Blast, especially since that's like its best way to hit Chi-Yu in the first place. So yeah, it ends up being sort of just Focus Blast here. So Focus Blast comes off. It doesn't reveal to me anything like spikes or anything ridiculous. And I do consider going into Cyclozar because I know that I live a Dark Pulse into a Focus Blast. I want to call the Dark Pulse here. But the issue is if she is packing Ice Beam for whatever reason, I don't live Ice Beam into Focus Blast. So that would have been the scary part. So now I can at least go into Cyclozar. The upside to this is that I can Rapid Spin. However, there is a Tinkaton in the back, so realistically, is Rapid Spin the best play here? Yes, it gets rid of the spike short term, but ultimately I'm just allowing Tinkaton in, and Tinkaton's going to click Stealth Rock anyway. And honestly, that's a worse exchange for me. I lose momentum to remove, and then when I try and switch into the Tinkaton, just a stronger hazard goes up. So I think I would have been better off just clicking U-turn here, honestly, because that would have allowed me to bring in my Chi-Yu, click Overheat again, and just sort of put some extra pressure on. But unfortunately, I don't do that. I just click Rapid Spin, and now I have to click U-turn. And that is racking up chip on Tinkaton over time. Like, at this point, especially since my Choice Scarf is knocked off, it's very clear to me that my win condition is this Calm Mind Keldeo, and I really think it can do it. Like, barring some kind of, like, Choppleberry Darkrai, which is entirely possible, I think this Keldeo goes crazy, because I live Dragon Tail behind Substitute, and, from Hydrapple, and I can Calm Mind to a point where no hit from Hydrapple actually breaks my sub either. So I can set up on Hydrapple, I can potentially set up on Tinkaton depending on what its moves are, if it doesn't have Encore. And, I can potentially set up on Gouging Fire if I stay on Terra. Like, to me, I basically just have to get everything in range of Volcane Wave or Terra Blast, and it's pretty possible, I think. So that's what I'm aiming for here. I'm just clicking, I think I clicked Flamethrower here, and this is where she reveals the, sort of game plan with this Hydrapple, and it is AV. It's AV, it's quite a bit of Spadef, and unfortunately, I can't really stand against this thing. I considered for a while clicking Hyper Beam, as you can tell I have Hyper Beam on this set, and Hyper Beam with a max roll actually, believe it or not, would have killed this. But in my mind, if I clicked Hyper Beam, I was just going to get revenged right afterwards. And again, I have this Ogerpon, so I have an opportunity to just click Spike again here, if I want to. So yeah, why not just switch into Ogerpon, save this Chi-Yu to fire off a few more hits, and use it as an opportunity to gain a little bit more progress, or at least stop this Hydrapple from clicking something crazy like Nasty Pot, or I guess it isn't Nasty Pot, but like, just Fickle Beam and getting it all out and killing my my Chi-Yu. So Terra Water's gonna come off, and Fickle Beam's gonna happen, and this is the power of Spadef Ogerpon. Like, it literally does nothing, which is incredible. And now I sort of decide, okay, do I want to Spike? Do I want to Synthesis? Like, what do I want to do here? And I think at this point, one of my win conditions is actually just hard walling Darya's entire team with this Ogerpon, right? Like, Ogerpon takes less than 50% from Ice Beam from Darkrai. Focus Blast does a lot, but then Ivy Cudgel kills back. I beat this Darkrai, I beat this Hydrapple. I even might be able to beat the Tinkaton if I get a little extra damage on it. So obviously there's a consideration that I should Synthesis maybe next time, but I think spikes are just so important. And the reality is, once I get 3 layers of spikes up, now, once I'm +1, Vacuum Wave guaranteed kills Darkrai, even if it has quite a bit of bulk. So I instead click spikes, obviously knowing that I think it's going to guarantee me a little bit more long-term, relief. And I clutch live this Gigaton Hammer, which is again going to allow me to then click a button into Darya's team here. I get very aggressive. I decide to click Dark Pulse because if this Hydrapple comes in on the Dark Pulse twice, then it will be 2 KO'd. It will force her to pick a sack, and in my mind, that might happen. But she actually just stayed in with Tink, which is a good play on her part. So Chi-Yu's going to die, and then the second Chi-Yu dies, the game just decides, you know what? Chi-Yu's dead. Like, I don't even want to look at this screen anymore. I don't even want to, be a part of this game anymore. Where's my Chi-Yu? Like, Keldeo's going to attempt to come in and is going to attempt to, click Terra Blast and, do the thing. But unfortunately we get disconnected, which is really lame. So I was really upset about that. I've never disconnected in a Gen 9 game before. So, first time for everything, right? But especially frustrating because, there's literally the Halloween stuff that's happening. We're already playing the game late. So I just started getting really impatient, right? And we just need to figure out how to recreate this game on Showdown. So I say, okay, give me a second. And unfortunately, what I do have to say is that I did not record my side. I was too much in a rush. I was trying to get out the door so we could, start doing Halloween and stuff like that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it as quick as possible and, get there when I get there. Unfortunately, it took about 10 tries to recreate this game. And I think the more tries it took, the more it started, pissing me off. In particular, not just because, random hacks would happen that would force us to reset, like Gouging Fire, critting my Landorus, or, Hydropple getting an all-out, or, whatever. But what was so infuriating is every single time, without fail, Metagross survived 2 knockoffs from fucking Zapdos. There was even a turn where I just started spamming Earthquake so Metagross would die, and then I brought in Chi-Yu, and Chi-Yu won the speed tie. So then we had to reset, and I had to artificially make my Chi-Yu slower so that, obviously the speed tie would not be a concern. So we just had to keep resetting a million times. But I think the thing that was most infuriating was every single one of those 10 times, without fail, Metagross lived 2 of those knockoffs. So god fucking damn it, but it is what it is. And again, I absolutely cheesed the hell out of Darya last time we played, so she deserves to do it back to me. And it's not over, because look at this team, right? So this Shroodle has revealed to be Heat Rock, and that means that it's dead to a +1 Vacuum Wave, which is pretty funny. So I'm gonna click, Calm Mind at some point here, hopefully, and just win the game, because in my mind, this is, Banded Gouging Fire still. That's what I think. I can kill it with Terra Blast, I can Vacuum Wave the Darkrai, I can kill this Tinkaton right now. +1 Vacuum Wave kills the Shroodle, and then this Hydrapple never beats me 1v1, but if it's Dragon Tail, then obviously it can get a little bit scary. But I can do 2 things to bypass the Dragon Tail. I can A, click Substitute, and I can B, literally kill off all my Mons so that Keldeo's the last Monomon. So those are 2 options that I have. I'm going to play it easy right now. In the very least, I'm just going to click Terra Blast here, because, to me, that's obviously the play, just to kill this Tinkaton. I can't Calm Mind here because there's a chance that it is word sentences Encore, and that would be really annoying to deal with Encore. It basically would mean a Monomine dies. So I'm just going to Terra Blast here, do about 25%, and here's an interesting turn. I think the Dragon Tail is coming off, and because of Dragon Tail likely coming off, I start to panic. What I should have done is I should have scouted. I should have clicked Substitute just to scout intentions and figure out what this thing is doing. If Darya clicked Dragon Tail in the end, then it wouldn't have gone through sub. If Darya clicked, Fickle Beam or Earth Power, Leaf Storm, then sub would have been broken, but it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world because I have leftovers and, can heal off that damage. So sub would have been really nice. Alternatively, could just Calm Minded, right? And if I get Dragon Tailed out, I get Dragon Tailed out. If I click Calm Mind here, I actually think I have a very strong chance of winning the game. So definitely was a very sort of interesting position. What I ended up deciding to do is I ended up deciding to go into Ogerpon. The reason I decided to do that is because I'm worried about this Dragon Tail, and I think I'm rushing, and my switch into this Hydrapple has always been this Ogerpon, so I at least get the read right where I can click, Synthesis right on this Tinkaton sack, and, that's at least going to put me in an okay position. But now this Shroodle fucking gets to come in and set up the Sun. And this Sun is going to be really annoying because, this Gouging Fire is going to claim a KO. But thankfully in my mind, I'm like, every single Monomine outspeeds Gouging Fire, so surely it's fine, right? But this comes back to the what you can now sort of get at is a miscalc that I made during the actual Wi-Fi part of the game, where I thought that this Gouging Fire was banned, when in reality it was most definitely Choice Scarf. So Darya's going to bring in this Choice Scarf Gouging Fire. I have no idea that it's Choice Scarf at this point. So yeah, it is what it is, right? Now Choice Scarf is looking very scary. If I'd Calm Minded with Keldeo earlier, I would have been able to stop the Sun going up because I would just be Calm Minded up, and I can kill with Vacuum Wave this Shroodle. So it would have meant that Sun didn't go up, it would have meant that this thing wouldn't be able to kill me. Hell, if I was able to get to +2 or something like that, then I maybe even would have been able to just kill with Vacuum Wave from here. So, yeah. However, I run the calcs, I'm like, okay, this is actually maybe Choice Scarf based on this damage to Ogerpon. Thankfully, Cyclozar, believe it or not, gang, Cyclozar has a 75% chance to live this heat crash with my investment. If it's adamant, then it has more of like a 25% chance. But if it's jolly, then it's a 75% chance. And unfortunately, I don't get it. So Darya got the 25% chance to kill me with the heat crash, and that's going to just be game, unfortunately. So some really unlucky rolls this time around. I really don't like to attribute rolls to luck, but I do, because, you know, that's Mons, right? But it is really frustrating to replay the game 10 times and know that the one roll that really, like, screwed up your Chi from being able to revenge this gouging fire, you know, because you couldn't, you know, knock the scarf off of Zapdos. You know, that roll, you know, 11 times out of 12 goes your way, but the one that counts is the time it doesn't, right? So a bit frustrating there, and then obviously a bit frustrating that, you know, I didn't get the roll with the cycles are there in the end, because if I do get the roll, and I don't remember if I Rapid Spun or if I Dracoed. Let's say I Dracoed. If I Rapid Spin, then I think that's still okay, right? Because it might put Gouging Fire in Spike's range, or I just like, Draco Meteor the next turn, see what happens. Either way, point being, if I get that roll, I think Calm Mind Keldeo is a really strong chance to win. It was not Chople Darkrai, right? So Wacky Wave would have just killed it after Spikes. And even though, you know, Hydrapple has Dragon Tail, that would have been the opportunity where Keldeo would have been the last one alive, so Dragon Tail wouldn't have made a difference. She would have needed to crit, like an all-out Fickle Beam or something like that. So that being said, that is not the world we live in. We unfortunately take our first loss, and that is what it is. We're absolutely fine as regards to playoffs and things, so I'm not too worried about it. And yeah, we'll just come back stronger next week, hopefully with a little bit less things going wrong between the timing and the scheduling and the date and the RNG and the disconnects and all that stuff. I think this was just inevitably going to be a recipe for disaster and the karma I deserve for the last game that Darya and I had. So I'm actually really happy Darya won this. I think she needed this to get back to even, and I hope she makes playoffs, because I really want the dolls to make playoffs. So yeah, hopefully that happens. Go check her out if you haven't, and yeah, see you all next week for a proper live commentated game, I promise.